Speaking of which, I've been on a G-funk kick as of late.
I was trying when you said send me some G Funk. I was just like maybe I should send you that MC Hammer album when he did when he tried to do the G Funk. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
So he did. That was his first album in the '90s, and the single from it was like "Pumps and a Bump, Pumps and a Bump." We like the girls with the pumps and the bump, and there's so much stuff where he's just trying to become not so MC Hammer and more.
Yeah.
And I think the album might just be called Hammer. I don't remember what it's called, but it's probably 1993, 2, 3, something like that. I don't remember when it came out.
So we've got Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, which is 1990. Then you got Too Legit to Quit.
The one after that.
So that is the Funky Headhunter.
The Funky Headhunter.
Quite literally just like it's just like
he completely changed his style for that album. But if I remember right, there is some pretty fun stuff where he's trying to do the G-Funk thing on there.
Pumps and a Bump. It's all good.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Pumps and a Bump. What is it? Let's have a Release and Reception. The original music video featured Hammer wearing nothing but a Speedo and dancing suggestively alongside numerous swimsuit-clad women, which resulted in it being banned from MTV as it was considered too graphic. An alternative video was filmed with Hammer fully clothed and featuring an appearance by Deion Sanders while promoted representing a remix of the song. So, yeah. Pumps and a Bump.
Yeah, Pumps and a Bump. There you go.
Cool.
Hey, that we could just play that at the beginning of the episode because that happened. What year was that album? Was that 92?
94, that one.
94. That's around
fits.
the time. That's around the time that we're going to be talking about today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a CNR Sidebar, which is, if you're new, it's Cranked and Ranked. So it's still the two dudes. But also, instead of talking about a ranking of an album or years or whatever, this is just a sidebar discussion about some topic that we feel like we could fill an hour and a half with entertainment. And it's a movie one, which is why I wore my favorite movie shirt that I have.
Nice.
We're not talking about Point Break today. In the podcast world, I'm wearing a shirt that's got the image from Point Break, and it says "Vaya con Dios," or as Keanu Reeves would say it, "Vaya con Dios." Anyway, we're not talking about Point Break, although that is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's a fucking great one.
It's a movie one, and it's weird how this kind of evolved, because I think originally we had discussed just talking about Pauly Shore movies.
Yeah.
And for some reason, like whenever I start thinking about the movie Encino Man, my connection isn't other Pauly Shore movies. My connection is Brendan Fraser and then Airheads, because they're both, one is actually a rock and roll movie, but the other one has like quite the rock and roll vibe in it. And they're also products of the early 90s. They feel like 90s movies. Yeah. And so the Pauly Shore thing became a Brendan Fraser double feature.
Yes.
which is where we are right now. I'm Old Head. As usual, with me as always, Eddie Sparxx.
That's me. Yo.
Yep.
Eddie Sparxx, stony, crusty dude with a mop on top.
Did you do that on purpose? You wearing a Stone Temple Pilots shirt, and Pauly's character is Stony in Encino Man?
We's a little joke.
So these were both, once again, we're gonna have these different perspectives here, because I saw both these movies in the theater and have loved them ever since. you obviously weren't alive, but did I
Hmm.
did I did I catch correctly that you just saw Airheads fully for the first time?
This week, yeah, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
So
that's a movie that's just escaped me on account of it simply not being on streaming services or
yeah, yeah,
like, because guarantee if it was on Netflix or Disney Plus, it would have been like the first thing I clicked on.
yeah.
But yeah,
So what we're going to do is discuss both those movies and the soundtracks, which I have both of those in.
nice.
Yes, yesterday I actually watched both movies back to back, and then in the evening I listened to both soundtracks back to back. And so I'm fresh again. They're movies I've seen. I've probably seen Encino Man 100 times, but
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Airheads maybe 50. I mean, it's a lot. I've watched it a lot over the years.
I gotta be honest, I got to thinking about like the numerical value of like how much time I've invested in like one single piece of media the other day, and that just got me
Yeah,
thinking. Like, uh, GTA San Andreas alone probably accounts for an entire year of my life, let alone the amount of time I've spent watching both Wayne's World movies. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
genuinely think it's a shocking amount of time.
You're probably right.
Mm,
I think about how much time we've spent doing these shows right now,
mm.
because now we're completing our third year. We're almost done. We're into the
We've com-
third year, right?
we've completed the third year. We're into the fourth.
Oh shit. Okay,
Yeah.
so a long time. Um, but yeah. So today we're just going to be discussing these movies. I figured we do them in chronological order,
Yeah.
and do Encino Man first.
Okay.
Um, which I guess I'll start it off because back in the day. So Encino Man was 92, and so I would have been 13, right? Something like that. I was prime. The movie was aimed at me, and it was
Mm.
around the time that I felt very represented in the world of movies, because several months prior was when Wayne's World came out, which I also
Hmm.
felt was a movie that was just aimed right at 13-year-old head, young head. But but I knew Pauly Shore because Pauly Shore did shit on MTV, and I watched a
Yeah.
lot of MTV, so I knew who he was. And then you see the preview for the movie, and of course, like I watched the trailers for both movies, and when I saw the Encino Man trailer, I was like, yeah, 13-year-old me was all over this shit, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I know I saw it at least twice in the theater, and the first one I'm sure was on the first weekend that it came
Wow.
out. Um, but of course, I loved it, and also it was one of those weird moments. I fully remember going into the movie and all of a sudden being like, "Is that fucking Mikey from Goonies?" Because I'm like, because now he's older, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, people age, but I don't think I saw him in anything. And then all of a sudden, he was in Encino Man, and I was just like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this kid that got older and bigger. But um, Sean Astin is the actor, if you didn't know,
Mm.
who's in the movie with Pauly Shore, and Brendan Fraser. I think it's his first. Is it? I think it's his first big role where he's like a prominent actor in the movie.
I'm gonna have a quick look. List of Brendan Fraser performances.
Fraser.
Fraser. Sorry. So I immediately knew I'd fucked it. Okay. Here
I
we
only
go.
I
Yeah.
only do that because I spent the majority of my life saying
Yeah.
Fraser, and then I saw a video of him explaining that it's like razor with an FR
Uh,
before it, and I was like, oh, Fraser. I've been one of those people saying it wrong.
it's, it's like the Neil Peart thing. Neil Peart.
Neil Peart. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said Neil Peart for
Yeah.
a very long time too.
Yeah. It wasn't until we started doing this podcast that I started saying Peart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dogfight is a movie that came before Encino Man, and his role is listed as Sailor Number One.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
So
so
yeah,
this is
this was his
definitely his
big thing.
first.
If I remember right, though, he talked about how he actually filmed this movie after the movie School Ties, and
Ah,
but this one came out first And because it was such a big hit, that ended up making the movie School Ties really big, which I saw that one as well.
Hmm.
I have always been a big Brendan Fraser fan, although I've never seen any of the Mummy movies, and
Oh, really?
I feel bad about that. I feel like I should get on that. But anyway, so I saw Encino Man in the theater and loved it, and it went through a strange metamorphosis with me where it was a movie that I enjoyed because I was a young teen in the '90s,
Hmm.
and then many years later, revisiting the movie in my like probably in my 30s is where it started to become a really big deal again because all of a sudden there was this nostalgia factor that came
Yeah.
into it, not only with just the '90s and I enjoyed the '90s, but also the idea of a movie like this where these were the main characters. And
Yeah.
because I mean shit like this, like these two movies we're talking about, this shit isn't really going to get made by a major Hollywood studio anymore.
Nah.
If they're going to be independent movies or or whatever, but at that point, like rock and roll was a fucking big deal,
Oh, well,
and
yeah.
rock and roll culture and all that shit. And so Encino Man was right up my alley because it had all of that.
Mm.
Um,
Well, the
uh,
tagline for the movie is where the Stone Age meets the Rock Age.
yeah, yeah,
So
there you
that's
go.
yeah.
And, but so okay, so over in your neck of the woods, if you ever find a copy of this on VHS or DVD, is it called California Man over there?
It'll be yeah. It's Encino Man, known as California Man in several territories, is a 1992 American comedy film. Blah 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 blah. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be California Man. You know, I haven't actually checked to see if it's on Disney Plus because would it fall under that? I'm not entirely sure.
Which is weird. I've never understood why they needed to do that. Like, why couldn't it? Encino Man is such a better title, and it only takes a couple seconds for somebody to say Encino's in California. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh no, I just got Encanto. Um,
I saw that.
yeah.
That was I don't like a lot of Disney movies, but I enjoyed that one.
I tell you what, though, like you're right. It would just take saying, "Yeah, Encino's in California." It's such a stupid thing to change.
Maybe they thought it would bring in more people in other countries if it was called California Man because they wouldn't have to wonder what it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that I don't think did we ever get that courtesy over here? There wasn't like it's like when the full Monty came out, they didn't like change it to fully naked dudes over in America.
Yeah, I
um,
think the religious elite would probably have had something to say about a film titled that.
hey, there was a band called the Bare Naked Ladies, but they're from Canada, but
Well,
still.
that's
Anyway,
fine.
that's fine. Ladies, fine. Dudes, no. We
Yeah.
don't want any naked dudes anywhere. Anyway, so that brings us. Let's flash forward though to because like the movie became one of my favorite movies just because of not only the nostalgia but also the more that I watched it and I got older, the more that I
Mhm.
just was baffled by how unapologetically stupid it is. And we'll get into that, but let's move to when you first saw this movie, which would easily would have been in this millennium, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, it was a couple years ago when we got talking about films like Wayne's World and stuff from the 80s and
Oh, pretty
90s.
recent.
Yeah, pretty recent. I'd say maybe late 2021 we got to talking about it, and on one of the episodes we were talking and you brought up Encino Man, and I said that's a film I've been meaning to get around to, and you were dumbfounded. You were like, you've never seen Encino Man? Like, that's
Yeah.
you as a fucking movie. Yeah, yeah, so I was like, yeah, okay, I need to get on this. So very quickly I did. I still need to watch Son-in-Law and In the Army Now, though, but that's
Yeah.
for another sidebar sometime down the line.
Well, son-in-law, Brendan Fraser makes an appearance as
Mhm.
Link. He just randomly shows up in the hallway or something.
And he's in the army now as well. He plays a soldier with a um where it says Link on his chest, and
Okay.
it's like
Okay.
he's managed to make it into all three. Yeah. But yeah, I was thrilled when I started watching it, and I was like, dude, this is like a third Wayne's World. Like, it's like Wayne's World 1.5, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I was watching it and I thought, oh my God, I didn't know there were any other movies like it apart from Wayne's World and Bill and Ted, really.
Yeah.
Like the rock and roll buddy comedy thing.
Yeah. I love that. I love a good rock and roll buddy comedy.
I guess it would
Um,
be a buddy comedy in this
ooh,
case.
good
Hey,
one.
hey.
Everyone got real sick of Pauly Shore. There's a Kevin Smith thing. You know, he does like those where he speaks for like 3 hours and shit, and you can buy DVDs of it. I think it was the very first one he did where he talked about how everybody felt about Pauly Shore, about how like around 1992 everyone's like, "Hey, buddy, the Weasel," and then like 2 years later everyone was like, "Fuck Pauly Shore."
Yeah.
Because like everyone got real sick of him real quick. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I saw Son-in-Law and In the Army Now in the theater, and then I didn't see Jury Duty in the theater though. But I saw it later. But that's another one. Anyway,
I saw Biodome quite a few years ago after trolling through a bunch of VHS tapes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was fun.
Biodome. Yeah,
Yeah.
but so Encino Man was the beginning of Pauly Shore's movie career and Brendan Fraser, who
Yeah.
so which is funny. So watching the movie again now. Yesterday I watched it the most sort of like critically I've ever watched it, just to break it apart for things to talk about. And the one thing is with having very few lines, Brendan Fraser's pretty fucking good, and
Yeah.
and sells this stupid idea of a caveman way better than it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just so endearing, you know. The moment they
Yeah,
start teaching him stuff, and he's likable. He's a really
yeah.
likable, brute.
Which I like the idea of, like, everyone thinks the caveman is going to be crazy and brutal, and then he's literally just a really curious, nice dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But I started to break the movie apart, and there's a few things I it's always funny to me that the person that's technically the protagonist in the movie really sucks, and that's Sean Astin's character Dave. Dave, Dave sucks the whole movie. He's like a total douchebag who's obsessed with becoming popular without really having to do anything, or
Yeah.
and it's just so funny because he does, like, there's a point in the movie where they're at the ice skating rink, and he just randomly has a picture of him and this girl together in the bathtub,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Remember, we've been
We
naked
were
together."
together. Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, they really drove home the fact that, look, in case you were wondering, Dave sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that thing of like you don't want to be this guy, even if you relate to
No,
him.
which
Yeah,
that's already,
this is the worst way to deal with your unpopularity.
yeah.
Like,
Which is so funny because he's technically the protagonist, but he's not likable at all. Whereas you have Stoney, his buddy, who's kind of the fuck
yeah,
up, but seems to be the one that's the voice of reason for the
yeah.
majority of the movie. Um, but there's a few things. Has there been somebody, whoever's listening or watching this, let me know the answer to this question. Has there been a movie made past the 90s that has a fucking car riding on the two side wheels? Because
Yeah,
that seemed like a thing that was in like 50 movies in the 80s and 90s, and I've never seen it since. And
yeah.
it's almost like we were supposed to suspend disbelief that, oh, this is doable. a car could easily drive on two wheels on the side, and nothing would break, and everything would be fine. Like
I'm
that.
trying. Yeah, because like Knight Rider did it a fuck ton.
Pretty sure it was in
But
like a Police Academy movie as well.
yeah, I mean,
Stuff like that.
it It had to have been in one of them.
Yeah, yeah. Naked Gun, some shit. All comedies, but I just love how that
Yeah.
seems like a thing that is in the past. Nobody does the car ends up on two wheels thing anymore.
Surely it happened in License to Drive. It had to have.
No, no, it didn't.
Does it not?
No, it
Really?
doesn't. I mean, he does drive the car backwards at the end of the thing, but
Yeah.
no, I don't think he ends up on two wheels in that movie. I know that movie very well,
Yeah.
but I don't think that happens. But anyway,
Let's go. What is with the fucking car sound effects today? Like, I've just heard a tire screech outside.
it's they're like, you need to be talking about GTA.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but then I started to pick apart things in the movie, story wise, that don't even have anything to do with the caveman part of it.
Okay.
That if somebody had just looked at the writers of the movie and said, why, it never would have gotten done, because there's so many things that just flat out do not make sense.
Yeah.
So here's one example. After the two-wheel car thing, they just happen to end up at a bar during the day, which is for some reason is packed full of people all dancing, who all seem like adults of all different races and types, everybody having a fucking good time. The only people who shouldn't be in there are the three teenagers that are in there. But for some reason, the cops bust in and the whole place clears out. There's no scene in there where people are doing drugs or gambling. It's literally just a bar with some drinks and some dancing. But for some reason, when the cops show up, everybody fucking leaves. And I'm just like,
it's just the fun police, man. It's the fun.
That's
police.
what it is. It's the fucking fun police. Hold on, I'm gonna do not disturb. I'm fucking blowing up over here. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. I just that doesn't make any sense. I realize that they'll get in trouble because they're underage, but why does the whole bar have to?
Everyone runs.
Everyone runs. But here's the biggest one. Here's the biggest. Somebody just needed to ask the question. All right. So the end of the movie, so Link is going to the prom with the girl that Dave wants to be with.
I think
go to the prom, but then you find out that Matt, the bully, who's that actor, that's one of the best performances in any movie. The guy that plays Matt, that guy fucking rules. Anyway,
wait, can I do the thing?
Yeah. He was doing that thing where he pops into frame and shakes his head. Shush. Anyway, so they find out that Matt's figured out that Link's a caveman and he's going to go out him, and so Dave and Stoney go to the prom to try to stop him. They don't actually do anything because Matt still gets on the stage and says he's a caveman, which is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. And then Link himself throws him into a cake. Pauly Shore goes over, pours some a juice on his head.
Some juice.
So remember, the whole time before this, homegirl wants nothing to do with Dave. She doesn't want to go to the prom with him. She doesn't want to be his girlfriend.
She wanted to go with Link.
And then all of a sudden, at the end of the movie, after the prom, they're at Dave's house by the pool, and she goes, "That was really great what you did back there." And then all of a sudden, they're kissing and they're together. And I'm like, what the fuck did Dave do? The only thing that Dave did at that dance was dance. When everyone else is doing the dance, he goes to her and says, "Watch this." And he goes over and he does the fucking dance. So she was really that impressed. Out of all the people that were dancing, Dave's dancing was clearly the best. And so she's like, "It was really great what you did back there." And that's the end of the movie. And we're supposed to be perfectly fine with this girl that wanted nothing to do with Dave. All of a sudden, it's just like, "I'm your girlfriend now because of whatever the fuck you just did at the dance."
Hey, look, if you're remotely adjacent to some caveman shit, you're getting laid. That's what I've learned. Like,
I mean, I guess technically Dave does get punched by Matt, but once again,
that's more of an action on Dave
yeah,
on Matt's
yeah,
part than like
yeah, he
he
did like
just took
Dave,
a punch to the face.
yeah, which he had already been bullied by Matt earlier. So why didn't if that's what he did, then why didn't she go for him back then? So it just doesn't. There's so many things that if somebody had just said why, they would have been like, you're right. Fuck it, let's rewrite this.
Uh,
But
that's the thing, though. All the while, like the thing that gets me is the fact that a band like Infectious Grooves are
yes,
playing at the prom dance. Why the fuck does this shit not happen in my life? You know?
fucking Rob Trujillo up there on the stage
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. That's killer.
I love, and
Love
that's
that.
another thing. Has there been that's another thing that seemed to have died in the '90s, where people would sporadically break into a dance in a movie that wasn't a musical?
Yeah,
Because musicals, there's dancing and singing, but it was a thing where it was like the '80s and '90s. It was like, hey, we're at a prom now. We all have to start doing a dance together. They did it in Teen Wolf, where all of a sudden everybody knew the wolf dance.
yeah. There's obviously Footloose. We also have
Footloose is
uh
that counts because it's about dancing, so that's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think that there's that scene at the end of Crossroads where
Oh
Ralph
God.
Macchio, absolutely hands Steve Vai's ass to him. Do you know what I love in that scene? Do you know what I absolutely love? The fact that everything right up until the last note of like the solo, I can't remember what Ralph Macchio's called in that movie.
I don't know.
It could be
I,
fucking Daniel for all
I,
I know.
lo-
It's
I love how
basically
you I love how you call him Ralph Macchio like he's a fucking coffee drink.
yeah, yeah. Is it Ralph
Ralph
Macchio?
Macchiato. Ralph
Ralph
Macchiato.
Macchiato. We're going with that. That's his name now, Ralph Macchiato. But yeah, I love that. Like, I loved Crossroads growing up, and I loved Karate Kid growing up, and I was so
Yeah.
like, after a while, I thought to myself, this guy's got a real knack for teaming up with an old dude and winning. But
Yeah.
like just cycling back around to that scene in Crossroads where he
Yeah.
has that guitar duel with Steve Vai, who's the devil. Um, Everything in that guitar solo up until the last note, which has a harmony and a massive whole reverb on it,
Yeah.
which makes it sound most triumphant,
Yeah.
but like just adds that layer of 80s cheese that's just so unattainably awesome in real life. But I just remember seeing that and thinking, that's fucking rad. And then
Yeah.
lo and behold, everyone starts dancing. And it's like, if I was going to make a movie, it would have an impromptu dance at the end
Yeah.
for no reason.
Then all of a sudden everybody knows this dance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that, we can talk about the soundtrack, which I have on cassette of
Nice.
Encino Man.
Dude. That's
These are
fucking awesome.
both soundtracks that, well, the Airhead soundtrack is not on vinyl. This one you can get on vinyl, but it's from like Japan or Germany, and they're very expensive. But one day I will get one. But
Nice.
for the podcast people, I'm showing my cassette
Beautiful.
to the crowd out there.
Absolutely beautiful.
Now the print on this is really small, so I'm gonna have to get my glasses.
Oh. Nerd!
So if you look at the inside, my favorite thing is that I love it when soundtracks have pictures from a part of the movie that didn't make the final cut, which is that girl playing hopscotch right in front of Link. But there's that, and then the other side has some other pictures, from the movie.
Cool.
And hopefully everybody can see that. In the podcast world, I apologize. It's very cool.
That's ace.
But the soundtrack begins with "You're Invited, But Your Friend Can't Come" by Vince Neil. That's a fucking banger,
Killer.
and that was the music video that he had for Encino Man at the time. And then there's a cover of "Wild Thing" by Cheap Trick. I like Cheap Trick a lot, but it's like Oh my god! Inside of it, they're called Cheap Thrick. I don't know if you can see it. It says Cheap Thrick. Does it say it on the back too? No, it actually says Cheap Trick. But right here it says Cheap Thrick. All right, there you go. It's worth more money because there's a misprint. Then we have Queen with Stone Cold Crazy. Mm-hmm. Then we have probably your favorite on this soundtrack, Scatterbrain with Mama Said Knock You Out is on this.
Yeah.
And then we have Crystal Waters with You Turn Me On, which is like, I think that's from the scene where they're in the club and everybody's dancing. And then, what the fuck? What is this called? Yothu Yindi with Treaty, which is that song when Link's looking at the TV. It plays after Sacred Reich. Sacred Reich is not on. Sacred Reich is not on this soundtrack. They got stiffed.
Damn.
But yeah, it's like that weird aboriginal whatever thing.
I guess they found them crusty.
Yeah. And they number 7 is Infectious Grooves with Feed the Monkey.
Yeah.
And then side 2 begins with a cover of Wooly Bully by the Smithereens, and it's not good. But okay.
Yeah.
And then we have a song that's been in shitloads of movies. The Edgar Winter Group with Frankenstein is on here. Yeah. Then we have, I don't remember this playing in the movie, but it's The Scream with Young and Dumb. And if you remember, The Scream is the band John Corabi was in before Motley Crue. That song sucks, though. Young and I don't even know. It's really bad. They had better stuff, but this is not a good song. Then they have the Jesus and Mary Chain with Why'd You Want Me, which is, it's a pretty good, I'm not into the Jesus and Mary Chain, but in that part of the movie, that's when Dave's trying to get rid of Link and put him on the street.
Yeah.
And it plays when they're driving. It's really nice in that scene. That also has my favorite line from the movie during that scene, where he's like, all you care about is nugs, chilling, and grindage.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, fuck yeah, what else is there to care about in this world?
I need to change my fucking Twitter bio right now. I'm gonna, yep, hang on. Wait,
all I care about is nugs, chilling, and grindage.
Nugs, chilling, and grindage.
Yep.
Buddy.
And then after that, speaking of Steve Vai, we have Steve Vai with Get the Hell Out of Here. All right, Steve, sorry. And then we have High C with Leave My Curl Alone. That's a hip hop track. And the rapper oddly sounds like Eazy-E, like he's doing an Eazy-E impression. And I'm just like, all right, I don't know a lot about High C. First off, not a very good rapper name, but okay. And then it wraps up with Tone Loc with Cool Hand Loc, which is not an amazing song, but it's all right. So once again, it's like I always say with a lot of like, especially early 90s, it was rock and rap and pop music were all kind of together because it was, all popular music, which is why a lot of that music resonates with me. I don't need these glasses right now anymore, but I would say, if I gave a grade to the Encino Man soundtrack, I'd give it, if I was going to do 5 stars, I'd give it 3 stars. It's got some songs that I really like, some that aren't very good, but I think, because this movie means so much to me, just the songs, hearing them and remembering the scene that they're in makes the soundtrack more enjoyable than it probably is to a lot of people. But yeah, Encino Man. Do we have anything else to say about Encino Man before we move on? Because I know we've dwelled on this a little bit, but not, maybe not a lot.
I think we need to ultimately end up doing at some point like 80s, 90s rock and roll movie soundtrack ranking, where we take all of like both Bill and Ted's, well, the 3 Bill and Ted's now, I guess,
Yeah, that last one, last place was.
But yeah, it's It's a great fucking movie. I thought I'd
There.
like mention a few notes as well,
Oh
like
yeah,
on
yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
yeah. So let's have a look. Reception to Encino Man. So pardon me, I am reading from Wikipedia, but Wikipedia's got pretty decent nowadays. It's not the
Yeah.
it's not the thing that you can't edit goofy shit in it nearly as easy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the film was a box office success, made
Mhm.
9.9 million its opening weekend, coming in fourth at the box office. Went on to earn a total of 40.7 million at the North American box office on a budget of 7.5 million.
That's a
And
fucking success. That's in 1992 dollars.
yeah, so it was released in the UK on September 25th, 92, titled California Man, and opened at number 5. Uh, to nobody's surprise, all the people that have time to go on Rotten Tomatoes and give anything an approval rating, it has an approval rating of 14% based on 35 reviews,
I mean,
with an
to be
average
to be
rating of
fair,
3.4.
yeah, it's real. There's no that it is one of those movies that I will love till the day I die. But if somebody says it's a bad movie, I'm going to be like, well, you're not wrong. I think everyone involved would agree, but that just depends on like, well, what are you here for? What do you know?
Yeah,
What are you here to see? Because
if
there's
if
been
you yeah, if you're looking for like fucking Spielberg, you're not gonna get it here, but
no,
it's
but
not
that's
what
what
it's aiming for.
that's why I hate movie reviewers for the most part because they all act like there's only one bar for everything to be set around. So they literally
Yeah.
will like, I'm gonna go see this movie Encino Man with the bar set for Citizen Kane. All right, let's
Yeah.
fucking and I'm just like, no, you need to like movie reviewers need to start backing the fuck away and be like, look, what was this movie intended for? How successful was it in doing that? And then there you go. So I would think in that case, Encino Man uh, is 100% success because
That's
it's
like that's like listening to the Eminem show and calling it a horrible attempt at death metal. It's like
yeah.
it's not fucking going for that. So why are
They
you,
forgot the
you know?
guitars all through
Yeah.
this album.
Yeah. There's no blast beats on Eminem. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Shit.
So so there was a weird there were weird rumblings of Pauly Shore trying to get a sequel to Encino Man made. Funny enough, there is kind of a sequel to Encino Man that came out on American television, and it was called Encino Woman or Encino
Woman.
or something like that. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I'm afraid to watch it.
Mm.
But they're trying to do a legit sequel, and I remember reading somewhere that Brendan Fraser isn't opposed to it, and I'm just like, oh man, because that's what I like.
Oh shit.
Like let's revisit this movie because like it's not like Link got transported back to the Ice Age or whatever, and
No,
so and
he's here
so
now.
so he would now be an old man caveman. That would be a fucking fascinating movie.
Yeah.
It could be really funny in a very different kind of way because it's like, God, that's such a if they would actually would put the work in, they could
Mm.
make a really great comedy that's that just takes an idea, a silly idea, and makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking of that, I don't mean to. I'm sorry. We're going to go off on a tangent real quick. You finish what you're saying because we're about to go completely off because I have to get this recorded. So go ahead.
okay. Well, I was just going to say, well, it says here, according to Shore, Disney Plus was discussing a sequel as of May 2022 with the possibility of him, Aston, and Fraser back as their characters. I saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back over to you.
So I want to get this on video and podcast. So maybe somebody out there can pass this along, or if this ends up happening, and you'll know somebody stole my idea. So
Okay.
I came up with the best fucking sequel idea for Last Action Hero. Okay?
Oh, shit.
Now, I started thinking about this because Arnold was saying that of the movies that he would like to go sequelize now, I think he said True Lies would be one, and then Last Action Hero would be the other. And I was like, what could they do with that? And then all of a sudden, I just started in my brain coming up with the fucking best sequel. And so here's the premise. Okay, so it's it's so we're the original movie takes place in a reality where Arnold Schwarzenegger exists, the actor.
Okay.
They just switch things around, like, Stallone was in Terminator and all this stuff. So we continue with that, only it's now, let's say 2023. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the actor, is an old man. And he is going through a thing where he doesn't know what to do with his career, and everything keeps failing, and he's having a bad time with his life. And so he has a little theater in his home, and he decides to sit down and watch one of his old Jack Slater movies to sort of maybe get, rejuvenated about making movies. So he's watching the movie, and what he doesn't realize is that at some point, like, I don't know exactly how he would get it, but somehow the golden ticket thing had gone into the possession of Arnold Schwarzenegger. As he's watching the movie, the golden ticket reactivates, transporting Arnold Schwarzenegger into a 1990s Jack Slater movie, where you will have Arnold Schwarzenegger working alongside Jack Slater, where they de-aged Arnold Schwarzenegger to make him look like 90s Arnold. And all of a sudden, he's in a 90s action movie. So the majority of the movie is going to be old ass Arnold Schwarzenegger with young Jack Slater in this action movie. And it'll play out like an action movie where he's, trying to explain to him how he can help him. And Jack Slater's confused, like, who the fuck are you? And why do you look like old me? And all this stuff. And so so it gets better. So the climax of that movie, it ends up that they end up teaming up together to defeat whatever villain. It can be any villain, doesn't really fucking matter. But at the end of the movie, they end up, the villain ends up, just like in the first movie, escaping the movie into 2023. So now the villain from 1990s is now in 2023. So Jack Slater and Arnold Schwarzenegger also come out of the movie into 2023. Now there's this whole point where 90s Jack Slater is like, what the fuck happened to the world? And all of a sudden now they're in the real world, and they're still teaming up trying to stop this villain who's now in 2023 in the real world. At some point during this point, there's a fight. Jack Slater gets mortally wounded and shot and ends up dying in Arnold Schwarzenegger's arms. So young Arnold is dying in old Schwarzenegger's arms. There's nothing he can do about it. It's not like the old movie. The ticket gets destroyed, ripped up, whatever. There's no way for him to get back. Jack Slater completely dies. And it's kind of like poetic. It's like, the career of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't worry. Hold on there. It's not done yet. Don't leave me. I can see you moving. Don't leave me. So Jack Slater dies.
I'm gripped. I'm just getting up the Last Action Hero.
Jack Slater dies, Arnold Schwarzenegger very quickly ends up defeating the villain. So he actually ends up saving the day. But then he's like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Jack Slater is dead. But then he realizes, holy shit, I now know what to do with my career. He reboots the Jack Slater franchise to bring Jack Slater back to life in the movies. That is how it ends. Happy ending. All of a sudden, his career is rejuvenated. Jack Slater is alive again in the movies, and everyone's fucking happy. And then, the credits roll. And you're welcome, everybody.
I'm genuinely wondering if, like, the last 5 minutes should make it to the podcast, because that's fucking incredible. Dude, you need to pitch that to fucking Hollywood right now.
As I started, that's why I'm saying, if anybody hears this or is watching it that knows anybody in the movie business or anyone that can push that idea, because I don't even care if I get paid for it. I want to see that fucking movie.
Wow, that is a passion project if ever I've heard it, man.
Fuck like, yeah, man.
You just want to see it come to life.
Yes. But here's the thing. I come up with really great movie ideas every now and then. And most of the time, it's when I'm a little bit drunk. And then the next day, I'll ask my wife, babe, do you remember that great movie idea? And she's like, no, I don't remember. I'm like, fuck, I don't remember it either, but it was so good.
See, this is why you got to have voice memos on at all times. So you don't lose any of this shit.
That's why I have it here. It's recorded now because I would like that to be the sequel because I just think it would be a great movie. And I think it would also prop up the original, which is underappreciated. And, it kind of gives new life to this underappreciated classic, in my opinion. And,
yeah, it's a hidden gem.
But here's the caveat. Hollywood producers, anybody, if you run with this idea, the soundtrack has to be 90s rock acts and 90s hip hop acts. Okay? Yes. I don't want fucking Fall Out Boy, and I don't want
no Mumford, Bill and Ted 3.
No Mumford and Sons. I don't want any of that shit. I want either go back and get some old 90s classics, or even better, because it's all about aging and thinking about your past, get all the 90s bands that are still kicking it. They do original tracks for Last Action Hero 2. And there you go. Biggest movie in Arnold's career right there. I just created it for everybody. You're welcome.
Tell you what, right? And it shouldn't be too hard because a lot of the bands that are in the soundtrack, many of them are still together, right? Like, let's have a look here.
And Anthrax reunites with John Bush for one song for the soundtrack too. Yeah, Megadeth, Alice in Chains, Fishbone are still together, AC/DC still together.
Queensryche, Def Leppard, Anthrax, Aerosmith.
Aerosmith are about to call it quits, but maybe Aerosmith can do one last song. I don't know. Tesla still kicking it.
I had no idea Aerosmith were talking about calling it off.
Yeah, they're about to start their farewell tour.
But I have a thing about farewell tours because you can call it a farewell tour. Kiss have been doing a farewell tour for 20 years.
But you know why I believe that this Kiss one is the last one, and why the Aerosmith one is the last one? Because they're 70.
Yeah. True.
So I'm assuming this is probably legit for Aerosmith. They may do one-off shows and stuff, but I think as a touring band. And they haven't done an album in over 10 years anyway. So anyway,
true.
Yeah, so that was my Last Action Hero 2 pitch, and yeah, I guess we can move on because we move on to Airheads, the second movie we're talking about, not Last Action Hero, but I had to get that.
Beautiful.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
So,
dude, absolutely. Oh,
skip forward 2 years to 1994. Brendan Fraser returns to the world of rock and roll movies with Airheads, which it's funny because, to be completely honest, when the movie came out in 94, I was a little disappointed in the movie because I was going to see it, and I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, oh shit, they take a radio station hostage. And then it said, from the director of Heathers. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be like a really dark rock and roll comedy.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking it was going to be really dark. And when it ended up being very silly, I was 15 years old or whatever at the time, or 16. And I just remember being like, oh man, they could have done so much more with this movie.
Do you know what the sequel should be?
What?
It should be a black metal band that takes over a radio station and kills everyone and burns it down for just no reason. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Airheads too. But over the years, because obviously, like, it came out and was on like your HBOs and stuff, and I saw it many, many times, and then it started to really grow on me, and then once again, getting into my 30s and being very nostalgic about a lot of this stuff, I started taking it a little more seriously, and I was like, wait, for what it is, it's a really well done movie, and has some really great performances. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it is my favorite Steve Buscemi performance of any movie he's ever been in, because he is just so perfect.
He is great.
He's so good in that. Everybody else is great too, but Steve Buscemi looking very much like Rex Brown in the in the movie.
that they have a very, very early 90s rock look to them. Like they're basically wearing my fucking wardrobe.
Yeah.
And barring the short hair, I'd probably dress the most like Adam Sandler's character more than anyone. You know?
Yeah. But I mean, also in 1994, we were kind of reaching the end of the rock and roll. It was moving towards into alternative music, which alternative music is on the soundtrack too. And I think maybe I was also, I was an early teenager, and I was all, trying to like, well, that shit's popular now, so I don't really fucking like it anymore, kind of shit. I was already starting to go through that. But watching the movie now, I love so much about this movie. There's only one thing about the movie that I don't like. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I saw it once in the theater with my older brother, and I was kind of disappointed. But like I said, I've grown to really love this movie. But you literally just watched this movie for the first time.
Yeah.
And what was your It feels like a movie made for us. It's that kind of thing.
The moment the Beavis and Butthead like phone call happened, I was like, this is incredible. Like I was loving it, and then that happened, and I was like, this is up there. This is up there in my like top 5 fucking vibe wise. This is me. You got the Wayne's Worlds, the Bill and Ted's, obviously the Encino Man type movies. Anything I've learned, I'm generally known as the 80s guy by a lot of my friends and peers. How I want to be known is Mr. 92, because I know that this movie came out in 94, but there's a zone.
Oh yeah.
There from about 87 to 88 all the way up to about 93, 94, where everything is just me. Like everything from that time, that late 80s, early 90s, that, the second half of the 80s and that first half of the 90s, if I could travel to any 10-year span and just live through it, that would be it.
Yeah. And I think I've always said that I feel like I was the perfect age for that, because I became a teenager in the early 90s. And so I really, all of it was very influential to me. And I wasn't old enough to be jaded and stupid yet. I got there, but at that point I wasn't. But hold on, I have a little bit of notes about this because I wanted to talk about a couple things. Oh yeah, I every time I watch this movie, I forget all the fucking people that randomly show up in it. Because you mentioned Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, yeah.
That you were stoked that Chris Farley was in it, but I always forget that fucking Judd Nelson is in it as the record executive guy, and then Harold Ramis shows up as a different record dude, or as somebody posing as a record guy during the great Lemmy is God scene. And then of course, when it comes to 90s MTV heads, fucking Kurt Loder is in it, which I don't know if was Kurt Loder a deal. Like, do you know who he is or was?
He was the MTV News presenter, right?
Yeah, there were other news presenters, but he was the MTV News
guy presenter.
And he's randomly in it as a news guy.
I was watching it, and what's he called? Michael John McKean. Like, he was emanating strong Bob Rock energy, like that entire movie. Like, I
was gonna say Michael McKean. He's Michael McKean is amazing in everything he's in.
Yeah.
All the way starting with Spinal Tap,
Yep.
all the way to very recently he was in the show Better
Better
Call
Call
Saul.
Saul.
He's
Yeah.
fucking so good in that.
He's
And
great.
he's perfect as the slimy radio station owner guy. He's so good. Everybody brings their fucking A game in this movie. Fraser is very believable. I've always
Yeah.
said, like, he doesn't come across as like even though it's sort of poking fun at it, all three of them, aside from Adam Sandler, seem legit. Adam Sandler, of course, he's supposed to be, the comedic whatever of the movie.
Well, he is the drummer.
Yeah. That does bring me to the one aspect of the movie that I don't like. And I've never liked this aspect of the movie, even from when it came out.
Okay.
Michael Richards, he's unnecessary in the movie, and I feel like he was only written in because they were like, oh, because I think Seinfeld had already started maybe at that point, and he's like, I can only be in it if I can do my slapstick, and so it's this completely unnecessary thing of, the actual arc of it is fine, where somebody escapes into the ducks and he gets a machine gun. He's the one that ends up where they actually have a real gun at some point.
Yeah.
But every single fucking scene is him being like, oh, I'm wacky goofy guy. And I'm just
whoa. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we already have Adam Sandler being the goofy guy. And now we have this other pud muncher who's like, and I have not liked Michael Richards prior to him being a complete racist in his stand-up comedy. But
oh wow, God, I didn't even know about that.
You didn't know about the Michael Richards meltdown?
No, this has escaped me.
Okay, so his career pretty much ended in the early 2000s. So Seinfeld had already ended, so obviously he was already a millionaire, so he cashed his checks. Doesn't matter for him.
Yeah.
But he's doing you can find this online. He's doing a stand-up comedy set, and some people up in the balcony are getting really loud, and they happen to be black people. And he literally starts going, it's an N-word! It's an N-word! Look at the N-word! Like, he just starts yelling that, and then he says something like, back in the day we would have had you strung up in a tree, or something like that. It doesn't seem like he's joking. Like, he seems unhinged. And
I'm just gonna should I really quickly react to this?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. I'm gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to mute it because I don't want all the N words to get on the episode.
Okay, so for reference, I'm gonna play something else through my headphones real quick.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
It's very quiet, so no, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll listen to it back, and if it seeps through, I'll edit it out.
Okay. I've never seen this.
Let's let Eddie have this moment.
Let's watch
Michael
this
Richards.
TMZ video from 2006. Michael Richards goes crazy. Okay.
Hopefully it's not beeped because you got to hear how bad it is. I can hear it. I'm gonna have to edit that out. Is it over yet? For those of you in the podcast world, Eddie's face is it's the face we all made when we saw the Michael Richards video for the first time.
For the record, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's uncomfortable and it's cringe.
Yeah.
Oh man, and oh my god, oh, damn that.
So and then after that, he goes on like David Letterman. No. I think Seinfeld's on David Letterman, and they do like a live feed of Michael Richards trying to apologize, and because he's made a career being a buffoon, everyone's just laughing, thinking it's a bit. And Seinfeld has to be all like, no, this is not a joke. And at that point, you knew, oh, Michael Richards is done. He's done.
I got to be honest, dude. That watching that, you know, there's like, you know, there's really like fucked up corners of the internet where you can literally get like raw combat footage of people just taking their final breath.
Yeah.
You know, that felt like a career version of someone just getting their head taken off by a sniper. Like
it's the Zapruder film of stand-up comedy.
Yeah, that was Jesus Christ, man.
So anyway, my point was that I didn't like Michael Richards prior to that. So
yeah,
I thought he was completely unfunny, and he's unnecessary in that movie. His scenes are the worst parts of the movie. That being said, the rest of the movie is fucking amazing. Now, just real quick, one of my favorite parts about this movie is that it is littered with amazing insults. Do you remember? Did you catch that about the movie, that everyone insults everyone through almost every minute of the movie? So I decided when I was watching the movie yesterday that I was going to list all of the insults that I heard in Airheads.
Go for it.
So here we go. And I didn't double up on these, so that some of these were used multiple times. But here's all of the things that other people were called in this movie. You ready?
Okay, go for it.
Butt, bastard, necklace goober, poser, loser, bitch, dingus, anus, butthole, moron, goon, shaved ape, pussy, no dick loser, dick smoke. My favorite in the movie is this one where Brendan Fraser goes, "This penis over here." He calls him a fucking penis. And then right after that, he calls somebody, he says, "You look like half a butt puppet." And that's another one, half a butt puppet. Fem, dick, bozo, doof.
Oh, yeah.
Numbnuts, putz, scumbag, butt nut, dickhead, asshole.
Butt nut.
Here's a good one. Shitwitch. Which is a shit sandwich, I guess. Dick cheeseburger, which Michael McKean says that line.
Yeah.
Of course, retard, because that was okay back in the day. Idiot. You're idiot.
Fuck.
And then one of my favorites uttered by Steve Buscemi, dick shine. And so there you go. That's my list of insults. And I'm sure I missed some because they're sometimes they're rapid and I'm just like, but those are all my favorite being necklace goober is pretty good. Yeah. Shaved ape, no dick loser, dick smoke.
Butt nut's got to be my favorite.
Butt nut, penis is so good.
Yeah.
And then of course
you don't deserve to be pronounced correctly.
this penis. And Dick Shine. Dick Shine's so good. Yeah. Anyway, so that's all the thing. So I had two notes also that were very interesting about the movie. Number one, they're in a point in the movie, they're at a club seeing a band called the Sons of Thunder. Yeah. And that band is actually the Galactic Cowboys from Houston, Texas.
Nice.
So, and it's weird because apparently the song that they almost play in the movie is a fully recorded song, but it isn't on the soundtrack. And I don't understand because it's not anywhere else as far as I know. Also, but here's the best fun fact about the movie. The building that it takes place in, did it look familiar to you?
It's the same one as Die Hard, isn't it?
Yes, it is Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard. And that makes it even better. So that's why, it would have been cooler if they had taken the crawling in the air shaft a little more seriously, because then it's like, fuck, it's fucking Die Hard in the movie. But no, it had to be fucking Michael Richards. Anyway, so
you just hear him try to be stealthy. He looks down into the room and he can't hold back. He's a
He'd been waiting so long to say those words. You could
uh,
fucking tell.
yeah,
Anyway,
there was some venom behind that. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
yeah. So,
Uh,
but yeah, the movie is I fucking just the more I watch this movie, it actually becomes a legit favorite of mine. Just because, minus Michael Richards, but we're gonna give him a pass because
yeah.
his character ends up being important because that's how they ended up getting an actual gun. But I just think that I think probably because of the amount of time that has passed and the fact that I was a dude in a band that was desperate to make it, it
Hmm.
feels a little bit different when I watch it now, especially that one part where Brendan Fraser's character is all like, do you know what it's like to play at some shitty bar and the only people there are the other bands and their girlfriends? I am
Yeah.
rock and roll. And I'm like, dude, that was literally my fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I've played to big crowds and I've played to bands and their girlfriends.
Shit, if I did a like a percentage of how many actual large-ish audience I played, it's probably like 2% of the shows that I played were a kind of a large audience, and all
Yeah.
the rest of them were basically nobody.
I
Um,
remember one gig we played, and I won't throw the venue under the bus, and I won't, make enemies of any local areas, but I will say one particular gig we played was a bit more of a sports bar than it was a music venue.
yeah,
So we showed up, and it was mostly rugby lads and their chav girlfriends. Um, with a couple of people who had, amazingly heard our name through word of mouth, checked us out on Spotify and really liked it, which is a really cool thing to see. People
Sage.
you don't, yeah, Sage, sick. Stream it on whatever fucking, type in Sage, sick, whatever fucking streaming service you've got, we're on it. So yeah, that really helps out. But now I've done my shameless little plug there. So we played this gig. And the first time we knew that we think that they'd booked a band a bit heavier than they'd expected. The guy came downstairs and said, "Hey guys, my wife's up here and she said you're knocking down all the furniture." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll turn it down." And we basically just I stopped doing rim shots with my snare, and the guitars turned down like one number.
Yeah.
but then by the end of the night, we just said, "Thank you, good night." And we just heard one of these like chavvy rugby lads go, "Thank fuck for that." Yeah. But it was like we had like a cut. Obviously the girlfriends were there. You had a few older gentlemen, who are quite, rock and roll. You see them bobbing their heads, drinking their pints. But like the two people I saw that were there who we didn't know personally, who just knew our name and the song,
Yeah.
that was worth its weight in gold, because it was like, oh, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. These people like something we made. And yeah, it's a really cool thing. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it did make me laugh that at the end it was, "Thank fuck for that."
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's good fun though.
Yeah, the worst thing in the world is being booked to play somewhere where they're showing sports on the TV. That's like
Oh,
that's the
I
fucking
forgot.
worst.
I forgot. I had another
Okay.
thing about that same night. So basically, at this point, we've already loaded half of the gear into the van, and we've already finished the gig. We finished playing like 15 to 20 minutes prior to this woman coming up to us. So this woman, quite clearly many drinks in,
Yeah.
comes up to us and literally says the following, stumbles over, drink in hand. "Hi, look, I don't want to be funny, but do you know, can I put in a song request?" It was like, I was like, "Okay, it's going to be a bit difficult. Half our shit's already in the van." She's like, "Look, can you guys play Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol?" And I'm like, "The drum kit is literally down the road." And she's like, please, look.
I'd be like, first off, fuck you. Second, we've loaded out.
Here's the best part. Me and Callum, the front man, was nowhere to be seen right now. He was loading shit into the van. Me and Ollie, the bass player, we're packing our shit down, bringing stuff to the door. And this woman is so fucked up, so drunk. She's like absolutely out of it, like. But she's saying to us, like, can you guys please play Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol? And it's like, well, for one, it's way out of our style. Secondly, we haven't spent any time learning it. And thirdly, like, we're already half, if not 70% in the van at this point. Yeah. She goes, and here's the worst part, because I did feel really bad at this point. She said, look, and I don't know how true this was, but it made me feel terrible, but it wasn't my fault. This woman says to us, look, my friend over there, she's lost her son, 16 years old. And I'm like, oh, fuck, Jesus Christ. I'm like, look, I don't know what to tell you. Most of the gear is already in the van. Can you get it out and play? Can you play it for her? She's lost. She's so she's lost.
The only thing that's going to bring her up is some really fucking bland alt rock.
Well, here was the kicker, right? She stayed there and kept just saying to us, "Oh, I'm chasing cars," and we're there putting stuff in, and we are sure it was like this giant dude's fucking woman who had like come over to us and started just like, and every time we gave her that, like, a similar articulately put version of, like, we've already put all of our gear in bags and cases and now we're wheeling it out to the van, and she's going, come on, chasing cars, she's lost her son, 16 years old. And it's like, I'm extremely uncomfortable. B, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not it's true or not, what a fucking surreal experience
it's like, lady, if we play Chasing Cars for you, then we have to start playing Chasing Cars for every woman who's just recently lost a son. And then that's, you know, that's going to take too long.
Yeah, like if who's got a dead kid?
Yeah,
this one goes out to you. Oh man.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah. Can you imagine we brought everything back in and played a different song? We're not playing Chasing Cars.
Just play some fucking grindcore shit, and then after it's over, it'd be like, "Oh, you meant Chasing Cars? Oh, okay, sorry, we don't know that one."
Can you imagine if we just like put all of our kit back on, played "You Suffer," and then got straight back off?
There you go.
But yeah, back on track.
Nice segue, musically speaking, into the Airheads soundtrack, which I have right here on CD. Remember CDs?
Beautiful.
Do you like CDs? Yeah. CDs nuts. So
that was always my favorite D's nuts joke. Was like tapes and CDs? Because I'm a tape my dick to your forehead so you can see these nuts.
or even better, if you say, what do you prefer, tapes or CDs? And they or cassettes or CDs, and they go cassettes, and you go, I'm gonna cassette these nuts in your mouth. Anyway,
so fucking good.
So yeah, the Airhead soundtrack that has not been released on vinyl and probably never will, but I would love it because I actually really, really like this soundtrack.
Reissue.
So first off, you know, there's not much to look at. So the back, there's a band photo and a photo from the movie and the song list. Nice. On the inside, it's just some facts about the songs, and then an ad to buy a fake T-shirt for the radio station.
Sweet.
Which I tried to look this up online to see if anybody had one on eBay, but they don't. But also, it's got a fucking Confederate flag on it, so I probably wouldn't want to wear it these days.
Yo, for real?
but that here's the thing though. I try to explain this to a lot of people about growing up as a Gen Xer in America.
Old Head was a Texan.
You
Out
were
of Orleans. He traveled with a carnival show.
but growing up in the South in that time period, you weren't taught it wasn't called the Confederate flag. It was called the rebel flag.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about what it meant up until way into adulthood. So you would see people wearing shit with rebel flags. You'd see Pantera with like a rebel flag guitar. And I didn't think anything of it because I was not taught that had anything to do with slavery. It was presented as, oh, if you're a rebel and you go against the system, this is the rebel flag. And I was like, well, yeah, I go against the system as well. Great. But
did you ever own anything?
No. Oh no, I had my parents one time bought me a hat, but we literally bought it from like a Confederate like battlefield museum kind of place.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like an old school cap, like a cap that somebody in the military would have worn, and it had the Confederate flag on it. But I don't have it anymore. But I've never willingly had anything with the quote unquote rebel flag on it. But it's just it's interesting to think about that because back in the day, I never would have, even in '94, I would have looked at that and gone, "Oh, okay, it's the rebel flag." I didn't no fucking clue. But that's American education, ladies and gentlemen. So,
and I will say, like, while we're on the subject, hot take. I think it's a shame that flag has the history it does, because I remember seeing a Dimebag guitar and I thought, well, that looks cool, but I can't fucking enjoy it. Like,
you can enjoy it realizing that Dimebag probably had the same education that I had, and so he fucking didn't know. And I think if he was alive today, he wouldn't be using that imagery anymore because he seemed like a good dude. Anyway, moving on. Stop being so fucking woke, Eddie Sparxx.
Yeah.
So let's move on to what's on this soundtrack, because I actually really like this soundtrack. It begins with Born to Raise Hell, which is Motorhead with Ice-T and Whitfield Crane. Yeah. Which is a fun beginning to the soundtrack. Then we have really probably one of the only tracks I really don't like on here, and that's the Four Non Blondes doing a cover of the Van Halen song "I'm the One."
Is that who did that? Because I was listening to it and I was like, that's a Van Halen song, but it's not Van Halen doing it.
It's Four Non Blondes,
why not just use the Van Halen song, you know? Well,
Four Non Blondes was popular at that point, and
I suppose, but like
had to get on the soundtrack with something that was actually rocking. Fuck that band. That band fucking sucks. Anyway. No. There's very few songs that drive me insane, and that's one of them. And I put up with it sometimes because my wife really likes it, and I love her. But that song I think it's fucking awful. Anyway, then number 3, White Zombie with Feed the Gods, which is unique to this soundtrack. It's a pretty fucking good song. Nice. Then D Generation, I don't know this band, with No Way Out, but it's a pretty good song. I don't know enough about that group to know who it is. There's some part of me that thinks it's supposed to be like a super group of people, or there's people from other bands in it or something.
I can have a look for you. D Generation.
It's literally the letter D and then Generation, but all one word.
They're an American glam punk band formed in 1991 in New York City. They released 3 albums and several EPs to much critical acclaim. Breaking up in 1999.
So nobody of note in it.
Let's have a quick look. Members: Jesse Marlin, Richard Backus, Danny Sage. Check out Sage.
Get that guy in your band.
Yeah. And Michael Wildwood, Georgie Seville, Belvy King.
Oh, fuck. Georgie Seville's in that?
Past members.
I don't know who the fuck Georgie that is. I'm just kidding. Fucking Georgie Seville. I don't know who you are.
Todd Youth was in it at one point. Scotty D, Jim Wallerstein, and Howie Pyro. So,
all right.
Any names?
No, 0. So song number 5 is Primus with Bastardizing Jellikit.
Do you
which is
like it?
basically like the that song, which I think was
Yeah.
originally just on "Suck on This." It wasn't on their first album, but it's a
No.
different. It's a weird or different version of that song, which I guess is why it's
Hmm.
called "Bastardizing." Do you like it? Um, then it's Anthrax with a cover of the Smiths song "London," which is pretty fucking good.
Hmm.
And then Candlebox with "Can't Give In," which is also a pretty good fucking song.
Yeah.
Then we have Dig, Dig was a really short-lived band, and they had a hit-ish song called "Believe" in the '90s, which is actually really good. But their
Hmm.
song is called "Curious George Blues," and it's pretty good. They're an alternative rock band, but a little on the heavier side of alternative rock.
Yeah.
And then we get the Lone Rangers with "Degenerated," which actually has Brendan Fraser on vocals.
Nice.
And I can't remember who plays on that. I don't fucking it doesn't say who actually plays on that with Brendan Fraser. But anyway, that's the song, which it's a cover of an old punk song, which I love the
Hmm.
fact that in the movie, it's all like, I wrote this song for you. This is my song. And then the song is all, John, I can't read. John, I can't write.
Yeah.
You wrote that for a girl, huh?
Yeah.
That makes it even
He
funnier to
wrote
me,
that
really.
before it even mattered.
Yeah. And then after that,
Wait,
we have, well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you missed Inheritance by Prong.
That's, oh, is that the next, is that before? They're fucked up on the back of it for
Ah,
some
right.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prong with
But,
Inheritance.
yeah.
Then Stuttering John with I'll Talk My Way Out of It, which, if you don't know, Stuttering John was a guy who was on the Howard Stern show back then. Um,
Right.
and he would do these interviews where he would provoke celebrities and stuff, but he had a really bad stutter. And for some
Right.
reason, he started a band, and they were
Nice.
whatever. Then we have probably my favorite on the album, Stick with Fuel. Stick is a very underappreciated band that would pretty much just completely failed in the '90s, but they put out two albums. This song is from the first album, which is called Heavy Bag, and they're a great band. But it sounds like heavy '90s rock.
Yeah.
There's no other year that their album could have come out than 93, 94, because that's what it fucking sounds like. um and then it ends up with Ramones with "We Want the Airwaves," which is kind of a anticlimactic ending. I don't know why I know they chose that song because it's called "We Want the Airwaves," but the song for some reason just sounds very like they woke up on a Sunday morning and just recorded it, and it's like, "We want the airwaves," and then that's the whole fucking song. And they should have put "Rock and Roll Radio" by the Ramones, and now I'm like, there you go, that's the way to do it. But anyway,
Mm.
so yeah, that's the Airhead soundtrack. For the most part, I think it's great. I really, if I gave a rating to this one, I would give it a 4 out of 5 for soundtracks. But even
Cool.
with Four Non Blondes, but
If you had to give the Wayne's World soundtracks stars, what would you give them? Like
I
one
think
and
I
two?
think we did when we did the video.
Did we?
The first one would probably get a 4 out of 5. Second one, probably a 2 out of 5,
Mm.
because the second one just has too much oldie rock, classic rock nonsense on it. And doesn't have any songs by Tia Carrere. What the fuck's that all about?
Yeah, that's something that should be amended. At least put the missing track from the fucking first movie on there. Um, her cover of "Touch Me." Won't you
Oh, yeah,
touch me?
yeah,
That was my favorite as well. Like, granted, I know I can listen to the Private Life version, but I want Tia Carrere's vocals over it. You know?
yeah. That's got to be recorded somewhere, and they need to. I don't know. I don't know why they take the time to record these things and then they never see the light of day. And I'm like, well, there are fans that would probably appreciate those kind of things that are original to
Absolutely.
movies. I don't know. Anyway,
Mm.
but Airheads to me is a movie that I'm pretty sure on Rotten Tomatoes it also has a very low rating as well. But I just think it's really well done. Like just watching it again, like it doesn't like Encino Man has points where I just go, God, this movie's fucking dumb. But with Airheads, I'm like, it is pretty clever and pretty well done, and the performances are really good. Yeah, everybody brings their A game in this movie, and
Yeah.
I love it. Plus, it's a rock and roll movie from the '90s, so you know that I'm all about it, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But and Steve Buscemi rules in it. Do you have any notes or thoughts on Airheads?
Let's have a quick look. I think I lost my Airheads tab when I went to look something up. Hang on. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's check out some fun facts. So yeah, like you say, cameos, Galactic Cowboys, Sons of Thunder. We have the Beavis and Butthead call-in scene, which
Yep.
is incredible. Them being MTV icons of the '90s, it's
Oh
super cool to
yeah.
see that
At that
crossover.
point, that was huge.
Yeah. White Zombie appear.
Yep. Mhm.
The line I love that Chris Farley said in that, like, looking for a blonde wearing something tight and black. It's like they're all blonde and
Yeah.
oh, by the way, production, casting, Metallica, Cannibal Corpse, and Testament were approached for the bar scene but declined to appear. Um,
Yeah, I can't see. Well, I mean, I could say maybe. I mean, Cannibal Corpse ended up doing. No, prior to that, Cannibal Corpse did Ace Ventura. I think that was before Airheads.
yeah, so I'm thinking maybe Cannibal Corpse were like,
We
we
already
did it
did a
one
movie,
time. Yeah, we already
and
did
we
a movie.
fucking nailed it.
Yeah, we don't need to do it again. Um, what else is there? The film features an original song by White Zombie and went on to chart on the Billboard 200 and peak at number 157. In
Oh,
addition, there are re-recordings of songs from Motorhead and Primus, like we said.
mhm.
Uh, Here we go. Jay Younger and Sean Boysalt, is it? Uh,
From
oh,
White Zombie.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Shauna Reynolds, yeah. Um, Also accompanied with Brendan Fraser's vocal on the rendition of "Degenerated,"
there we go.
sung by
Okay.
hardcore punk band Reagan Youth. Uh,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and that song was produced by Younger and Brian Karlstrom. What else is there? A number of songs could be heard in the film, but not included on the soundtrack. These are "Baby Huey," "Do You Want to Dance" by Dim Stars, "Shamrocks and Shenanigans," "Boom Shallock Lock Boom,"
Yeah.
Butch Vig Mix by House of Pain, "Unsatisfied" by The Replacements, "Rocks" by Primal
That
Scream.
the unsatisfied is in this. I love that song already, but it's a little snippet where it's like almost like a what would you call it? It's not really a montage. It's one of those like the scene in the movie where people are sort of sitting contemplating things. It's not really a
Yeah,
montage, but they play
it's kind of like
unsatisfied. It's a great moment in the
it's
movie, I think.
yeah. I think it's a montage, but it's not. It's like a introspective montage.
Oh, I like
Um,
that. There we go.
yeah, yeah. There's more than one kind of montage.
It's true.
But "Rocks" by Primal Scream, "Janie's Got a Gun" by Aerosmith,
Mm.
"Wheezing" by David Byrne, "Don't Hate Me Because I'm Beautiful" by Sons of Thunder, Galactic Cowboys. The film debuted in 10th place, grossing
It was a bomb.
1.9, yeah, 1.9 million its opening weekend, and only grossed only half its budget. Fuck.
Yep.
Which, considering the quality of the movie, it's kind of insane to think about the difference in reception that Encino Man got compared to this one. But
Yeah. Well, like I
I
said,
guess,
at this
yeah,
point, that trajectory of like rock and roll had already started to come down. Where
yeah,
people,
it started to
I think
nosedive.
people got it was oversaturated. People got real tired of it. We're starting to get, that's why everyone was moving to like these alternative bands, which
Yeah.
didn't have all the rock and roll cliches and all that shit. So I think that was
Well,
part of it.
I think as well that there's a line in the movie, isn't there, where Brendan Fraser says, "Oh, you really listen to that Seattle bullshit?"
Yeah.
Like, so like when they made the movie, they were already like 3 years into, like 2 to 3 years into grunge being the thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, and by '94, there was already a backlash towards
yeah,
grunge, and so that was also part of it. But yeah, I just
mm,
remember because you're talking 1994. If I was going to point out a huge album that eclipsed everything in rock and roll, it would be Dookie by Green Day,
yeah,
which is literally like not, it's far away from grunge and metal and all that stuff. Still very energetic, a fucking killer album. But I think that's where everybody was headed. It wasn't your average rock star looking shit anymore, you know? So,
yeah. Well,
yeah. So
that's
that's
Encino
Airheads.
Man and Airheads. Yeah,
The Brendan Fraser double feature, which I love that guy. So it's cool to finally see him get his due and like win. You know, did he win an Academy Award? I don't know if
pretty
he did or
sure.
not.
I'm pretty sure he did. Let me have a look.
I
Have a
know he
look
won like
here.
a Golden Globe for that movie. I can't get myself to watch that movie because I just know I'll probably cry all the way through it. So I don't really want to watch it.
Let's have a look
The
here.
Whale's the name of the movie. But I'm sure he's great in
Wow.
it.
So 2023. Holy shit. He won a lot of awards for Best Actor that year. Academy Awards, Best Actor. Satellite Awards, Best Actor. Screen Actors Guild, Outstanding Performance by Male Actor in a Leading Role. Uh, AARP Movies for Grown Ups Award, Best Actor. Critics Association of Central Florida, Best Actor, Best Actor, Best
Dang.
Actor, Best Actor. All for The Whale.
Wow.
In total for The Whale, he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Best Actor awards.
Man.
And that's
And
that's not even the nominated,
yeah.
like,
And
damn, dude.
well deserved because he's fucking great and he seems like a great dude. And you know what, once you come off a really big thing where you're finally recognized for your acting and you win all these awards, the next thing that you need to do is Encino Man 2, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
That should be where everything leads you to now.
Oh, wait.
Although
Hold up.
Airheads 2 would be pretty funny, like because they go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was wrong. I didn't count all of the Best Actor ones.
Holy shit!
Because
Okay.
okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 Best Actor Awards
Damn,
won
Brennan, save some
for
awards
The
for
Whale.
everyone else. Um,
Yeah, wild.
but it just had me thinking of like not only would the Encino Man sequel be cool, but an Airhead sequel because according to the end of the movie, they did an album that went platinum, and
Live
so
from prison.
live from prison. So I'm like, well, like what would happen? Like, oh yeah, 30 years later, they're back and like, what are they doing now? They're old aging rockers. Maybe they're on their farewell tour. God damn, I have such good ideas for movies. Do it, Hollywood. Quit
Yeah,
making this
do
Marvel
it.
bullshit. I don't
Just
want to see any
just
more movies like that.
just listen to our fucking podcast and make movies out of the shit we talk about.
But before all of that, we're going to Last Action Hero 2. Get on it, Hollywood.
Yes, yes.
Well, I guess we have to wait for the Hollywood strike to end here, but when it does, you know, I want that slid onto Arnold's desk right in front of his
Yeah.
face, and I want him to look at it and be like, I don't know what he was. He'd be, get to the chopper. I don't know. He would say something like that. You are one ugly motherfucker. Um. Anyway.
Nice.
So yeah, that was it. That's our Brendan Fraser double feature where we got to talk. I'm this. It's fun, obviously, talking about these two movies that are two of my favorites. But yeah, it's just talking about rock and roll movies on a fucking music podcast YouTube show. It just feels right.
Always a
So
good
feel free to
time.
chime in if you're on YouTube. Chime in. Like, do you have a memory of these movies, or do they mean anything to you? Yeah, you know, get positivity. If you don't like these movies, you're probably not even watching this anymore. So who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
But next time we'll be discussing Citizen Kane and The Godfather, and
Yeah.
I'll fall asleep
And
halfway
the
through.
Phantom Menace.
The phantom penis.
Oh, damn!
On that note, the phantom penis. That was so perfect. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for this CNR sidebar. We're going to be back maybe next week with another ranking. This one's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. But either way, whenever we show up again, we'll be back with another ranking. So thank you for your continued support. Peanut Butter Platypus to all of the PBPs, all of the best people in the world. That's you. That's everyone that's still here, all the PBPs. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And as usual, I will throw it over to my old chap. Wait, no, that's not what it is. Old chap. Chap doesn't mean friend. It means just like dude or guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, my old mate. There you go. My old mate Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Look, if you're all edged because I'm wheezing on your grindage, just chill. Okay, if I had the whole Brady Bunch thing going on at my pod, I'd go grind over there. So don't text my gig so hardcore, Cruster. Later, buddy.